Card number 109 from the 1953. I was about to say 1957. 1953 Bowman color card set. Ken Wood of the Washington Senators. Ken could put some good wood on the ball. Ken would make a great addition to any team. If it's card number 109, it must be session number 109 of Card Room Live. No, it's not a show. It's a hangout for fellow vintage collectors. Sometimes we have guests. We actually finally have guests after a long bout of no guests or few guests. But whether we have guests or no guests, we will waste time looking at and talking about cardboard, and through it all, we'll try to make it time well wasted. If you're here with us live, welcome to all the YouTubers, all the commenters, all the lurkers, all the folks from Instagram, from X, etc. If you're listening to this later, you might be going to or coming home from work. You might be sorting cards, looking at eBay, rolling out meatballs, walking the dog, sitting on the john, planning out your Thanksgiving meal, walking around in Publix looking for medicine. At least that's what Lou Rock TV was doing last time. Wondering if somebody will talk about Eddie Wakas, wondering if there'll be any Mike foolery, whatever you might be doing. I hope you get something out of it. If you have ideas for future sessions, you can get in touch with me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, bowman53_Alex, on X, 1953 Bowman Color. And of course, all that information can be located in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by Turkey Red Cigarettes. It seemed appropriate. Our Turkey Red cigarettes are 10 cents for 10. The world reserves its big prizes for initiative, and Turkey Red cigarettes is where it's at. Card Room Live does not endorse using tobacco. However, it does endorse collecting pre-war cards. So all of that said, let's see who's in here tonight. Orlando is here. Hugo is up and running. Signs of the Pastime. Larry is here. Hammer 44. Let's See Sports Cards. Reese ND Card Ranger. Peacemaker Cards. Mr. Jason Everyday Card Collector. John P collects cards. Double D Vintage Baseball Cards is here. Diamond Gems 45. There's Lou Rock TV. Is he hunting in Publix? We don't know. Diamond Gems 45. Kurt and Brooklyn, low grade, no grade vintage, and plenty of other folks coming in. Hello, it's him, Maxa Jackson. Great to see everybody. We're going to get started, guys. We got a whole group of people waiting in the wings. I got to get these guys in here because we have a fresh, exciting round of Show a Card that we're ready to get into. Let's start with a wrench holder. Mike, the Sports History Collector. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Alex. Glad to be here.
Glad to see you again. We've got Drew, Vintage Legacy.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Glad to have you, Drew.
Thank you, sir.
Mitchell, who's fresh out of a card show.
Evening.
Good to see you. And we have a special guest, first time on Card Room Live, Mr. Called Shot Cards, Walter. Walter, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Glad to have you, man. All right, guys. So we're going to do a round of Show a Card. Anybody that's never been around for a Show a Card round. Drew realized that we're doing Show a Card, and he's like, "No, I'm out. No thanks." I don't know how he didn't realize that's what we're doing. Show a Card is basically, I sent these gentlemen a series of questions to show something from their collection. I tried to change the questions up from the last time we did this. It's been a few months since we did this. Because we have so many guests tonight, I'm going to withhold from participating just so we can get through everybody. So I sent these questions out to these guys. I don't know what cards they've pulled. It'll be interesting to see what they've got. We're going to try to get through all of these if we can. If we run out of time, I might skip around, guys, but I'll let you know. So I'm going to keep my eye on the comments to see what people think. But we'll try to stick to the same order that we start with. Mike, let's start with you. Show a card that no one on YouTube knows you own.
Okay, well, you know me, I break the rules all the time, and I don't just have cards, so I'm going to show autographs too. And no one knows I have this, mainly not because it's super duper special, but because I've never shown it before. Anyway, this is make sure I get where it's at.
There you go.
Carl Mays,
Nice.
who of course hit Chapman in the head, and he later died, I think, the next day. But nothing
Right.
says let's start off the fun with a man who killed somebody.
Great. Yeah, especially since I took away the mortality or like the gruesome questions this time. So you kept it alive. Thanks, Mike. Let's see, Drew, how about you?
All right. So this is hard because my collection's massive, and I've pretty much shown anything, but I'm not sure if I've ever shown this off. But this is my my very special Mookie Chilson special card, which is my Raji Maris rookie with a beautiful, well-centered pinhole. Dylan's in
Yeah.
there, and if anything needs to be centered for Dylan, it's going to be the pinhole on top. So there's a car. I'm not sure if I've shown or not, but this one's definitely one of the well-loved cards that I get to show off tonight. So
A centered pinhole makes a lot of sense. I never thought about that, but it's worth looking for one. Pinhole beauty. All right, Mitchell, how about you?
I'm only going
Shouldn't
to
be
cheat
too
just
hard.
a little bit because I did share this with a few people via text, but show the 2 autographs I got today to show. Ryan Sandberg and Andre Dawson.
Fantastic. Both look great.
Thanks.
All right, Walter, how about you?
My vintage collection is a little small, but so I just picked this up. T205 Frank Chance.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And I'm looking to complete the Everest Tinkers the Chance run, so this is the first one.
It's a great start.
Yeah,
Nice gold borders on that one too.
yeah, it's got the gold. You can still see like the glimmer of it, which is a nice add. Usually that's rubbed off.
Right, absolutely. All right. Mike, back to you. Show a card from a set that you think is underrated.
Okay, well, I'll actually show a card this time, but I'm going to go off of baseball and go to football.
Where's the eject button? Okay.
Anyway, 1967 Topps football, Joe Namath. I think this set is underrated. I just love the way it looks. It's a unique design for Topps.
Yeah, I like the corner logos there.
Yeah, this really makes it kind of stand out from their other series.
All right, Drew.
all right. So this was an easy one for me because I really feel it's an underrated set. Very rarely do I see people even highlight or talk about it. But I picked my Roberto Clemente out of my 1963 Fleer
Yeah.
set, which just doesn't get as much love as I think it should. And this specific card, not only is it a great card, but they actually said Roberto and not Bob, and that's a big thing. So I love this set. It's packed with Hall of Famers. Unfortunately, it was never finished as far as complete due to legal issues, but still, just some beautiful cards, great backs, a very 60s feel to it, and I love the set. So I'm very glad to have the entire set. So that's what I chose for this one.
That's a great choice. Yeah, it's true. I see that set here and there, but never like given a spotlight. Mitchell, how about you?
I'm going to go pre-war with this. I got the glare. The Mecca double folders.
Right.
Here's my Ed Walsh. Here's the back. With Fred Payne on the back there. Guess it could be
Nice.
the catcher card too at some point.
Right. All right, and Walter.
I too have a mecha. Where is it here? And it is Mordecai Brown and Arthur Hoffman. So it's not unfolded or graded, unfortunately, but I bought this about 30 years ago when I was 12. So
Wow, great
Yeah.
choice.
yep, I'm gonna get it graded. I have a batch of stuff going out to SCG next week. So
Right. Yeah, I agree. The 53 Bowman it's a great set. I don't know if it's underrated. It might be overrated. I don't know. Did I just say that? How about go ahead? Let's see. 63 Fleer is a great set. I agree with that. Mike, back to you. A card that has a YouTuber story behind it.
Oh, geez. Well, okay. I'm gonna stress, believe it or not, I'm going to stress the rules a little bit here.
Wow,
So I've
that's news.
I know. I got two cards, both 51 Bowmans. Whoops, yeah, that's better. Both signed, one Bobby Thompson and one Ralph Branca, and they actually have a history together, believe it or not. Anyway, the YouTube backstory, real quick, was actually you, Alex, because your video really kind of inspired me of your shot heard around the world. I have a signed 8x10 of the actual play, and I was going to leave it at that. I have that up on the wall, but I kind of, after watching your video, I kind of got the hankering to get the cards as well. So now I'm going to take it off the wall and make a display with a bunch of cards and a bunch of everything else. So thank you, Alex, for making me spend more money.
My pleasure. Always happy to help. Yeah, I guess I did say that, Mookie. I might have to retract it. All right, Drew, you're up.
Okay.
Whoops.
That's at the National up in Cleveland this past year. I had gotten up there and we went over to Scott Rainier Studios' house for just a bit. And we were just sitting around and people were starting to come in. This is before the show. And Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards, he came. We actually went and picked him up from the airport. And we're all sitting around Scott's house. We're just talking and getting to know each other. It was a great time. We weren't exhausted yet. But he had this huge binder of cards that he had brought with him. And he had brought them to sell because he was trying to get funds up to buy a big purchase. And most of these cards were already claimed. So I was just having fun flipping through the book. I'm looking through and card after card of amazing things. And you'd see the card and then on the back he had a little piece of paper saying who he had sold it to and whatever. And I came across this card as one of the very few cards that nobody had claimed, which shocked me. And I was stunned that this card was, first, still available, second, that he was getting rid of it, and third, it was in my price range, or at least it could have been. So I told him, I said, I'm really interested. He said, you know what, Drew, I'll tell you what. He said, I won't sell this card until you tell me either you want it or you don't want it. And so he held it for me, and I really, really appreciated that. So as the week went on and other things had happened, and I actually sold some stuff to be able to get some funds up, I went to him and I said, Rick, I want that card, and we were happy to make the deal. So what I was able to buy from him, because I never thought I'd get any card from this set, but I was able to get a 1915 Cracker Jack Burt Shotton.
Oh,
and
wow.
This card is absolutely beautiful. The color is just beautiful on it. The back is super clean. And if you're not sure who Burt Shotton is, and I'm all about the story, Burt Shotton was the manager that replaced Leo DeRocher in 1947 and was the first full-time manager of Jackie Robinson. But this is his playing days card in a Cracker Jack set. So it's got the connection, it's got the story, it's got the YouTuber story, and it's just a beautiful card, a beautiful example of just an insane set that I never thought I'd own any card of. And I was able to get this up in Cleveland. I just really appreciate that. So that's one.
Beautiful card. I love the story too. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Mitchell.
I'm in a message group with some local card collectors that are my friends, and one of them is Dre Diaz, happens to be on YouTube. So he's actually been really helpful in me getting my channel started over the years. But anyway, like kind of a long story short with this, he'll like send messages when he's like out antiquing with his wife. And sometimes we'll come across like vintage baseball cards and he'll kind of ask me what's a fair price. So we started a negotiation a little bit on this card for him to be able to purchase it. And I said, at some point, yeah, if you don't want it, I'll take it. So we agreed to a price, and the dealer was willing to part with it at that price. So a few months forward, when he came back into town to visit, he's like, "You don't owe me anything. This is your birthday gift." Like, what? And it was the 1952 Larry Doby Redman
Nice.
with the tab. So
Very nice.
it was pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm happy with it. So
That's
it was
awesome.
really nice.
Walter.
I haven't really met any YouTubers except for John Mangini once at a show, but this has nothing to do with him. I follow Midlife Cards a lot, and he had one of his many episodes recently that talked about underrated cards or cards that people might be going after. So Jackie Robinson's 56 Tops came up a lot in this one episode, so I picked up my version of it.
Yeah.
Which is, I got this one from REA. And actually, REA's latest auction, there is a Bert Schotten card in that auction from the 1914 set, in case you wanted to get the other one.
Okay.
I noticed it yesterday.
Nice. What's up, Sammy? All right. Mike, back to you. A card that gets you all nostalgic about baseball cards.
Okay, here's a signed 1941 Max West. And the reason why it makes me nostalgic, not because I was collecting in 1941, but when I was collecting cards as a young boy, Max West was from my hometown of Alhambra, and he actually owned a sporting goods store there. So I actually knew Max West, saw him almost on a daily basis as a young boy who loved sports, was always in his sporting goods store. And so it always brings me back to my childhood. And I tell you more, but I'm going to have a big episode on him. So no more for you.
All right. Good. A little preview.
It's a tease. We look forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Drew, go ahead.
So the very first cards that I ever even saw, I didn't even know they existed, was 1978. A really quick story. My brother had an accident. My older brother had an accident. He was in the hospital, and our pastor had brought him a box of baseball cards, thinking all little boys love baseball cards. And he opened them up, and then when he came home from the hospital, as his younger brother, we just got into them, and I didn't even know what they were, but I love the game and stuff, and just the colors on them. And every time I see any card from 1978, it just brings me back to being a 5-6-year-old kid seeing these cards. I love the script on it. I know the backs of them. I just know it. But there was one specific card that just stuck out in my mind, and it's probably because my dad told me about who this player was. So when I ever see this card from 1978, and it's the record breaker of Reggie Jackson, and for whatever reason, this card just tells me, it just brings back those feelings. The red stars on the top and bottom, the great color photo of his swing, where he actually hit the ball and didn't strike out. I'm not a Yankee fan at all, but still, there was something about this card, and when I see this card, this one specific card, anywhere of any shape or whatever, it just brings me back to being a little kid and flipping through piles, learning about the game of baseball from the 1978 set. So this card in particular just really has a special place for me.
Great. Mitchell.
This is one that I really wanted as a kid because he was my favorite player growing up. But I was always like, this card's a little too pricey for me to be able to go after it. I didn't collect this set as a kid because I was only like 5 and not into baseball. I was very much into Star Wars at that point. But a few years later, I was definitely full blown into baseball. And I passed on this card a few times, well into even my adulthood. I picked it up in the last couple of years, and because of the story behind it, be always kind of wanting it and then kind of like getting too shy and bashful to do it. When I finally got it, it was definitely a very cool moment for me, but it takes me back to my childhood because this is the card that I kind of really coveted. It is the 1982 Topps Traded, sorry about the glare, Cal Ripken Jr. rookie card.
Yeah. I love the blue and the green of that card.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Walter.
So I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, like many of us. And yeah, obviously I was dealing a lot with the junk wax era cards. But when I used to go to shows, I used to gravitate towards the vintage tables. And I saw these large, oversized cards from the early 1900s. And I was like, what? It was like something out of like from Mars. I never knew they made cards this big. And it's the T3 Turkey Red.
There you go.
And this is Bill Dalen. And this has the offer on the back, which I guess is coveted. I got to get this graded, but so I picked it up and I've had it ever since.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's a great card.
And totally appropriate with Thanksgiving on the horizon. All right, Mike, back to you. A card of a mythic pre-war player.
Okay, pre-war definitely, mythic for sure. Player, no, but he did have a lot of influence on players during that time frame.
You're like trying to break all the rules now, right? Like you're like actively trying.
And I don't know if you're able to tell that. He's always had a sloppy signature, but it's Kennesaw Mountain Landis.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay, totally worth breaking.
that's cool though.
That's great.
For those of you that don't know, I do collect Black Sox, so
Very cool. Drew, go ahead.
So my pre-war selection isn't very big, and the ones that I have, in my opinion, would probably any of those cards would fit into this category. But I thought I haven't shown this off in a while, and there's something not just about the player, but this specific card of this player. And what I chose was my 1914 Polo Grounds Honus Wagner.
Oh yeah.
I just love this card, and you know the fact that it's from a card game. You know, it's got the Polo Grounds in the back, but I think that's cool.
That's neat.
And way back when I was trying to get one card from every player during their playing days, this was actually the last. I'm sorry, every Hall of Famer. This was the last card I needed. I had everybody else, and I needed a Honus Wagner. So this one completed that long journey that I was on. And I've gone through and I've sold most of that off or traded away for other things, but I kept a Wagner. And what I love about this is I'm going to try to hold it close. You can see the split grip on the bat. The bat is huge. The look on his face is very hard to see because it's not focusing well. But I love this card, and I love Honus Wagner's story. He was it, and he was it in the National League. And he was. His personality was more subdued than Ty Cobb at the same time, and Cobb overtook it, and then Ruth overtook him, and so on and so forth. But for a while, there was just no greater hitter or coveted hitter from 1900, 1915 or so than Honus Wagner, and you just can't. I don't know. To me, that's exactly what this was. This mythic player. So
fantastic, and it's such a great image of him.
Yeah, I agree.
Mitchell.
All right. So from the Black Sox to pre-Black Sox, I guess still clean Sox. This is the 1909 T206 Lee Tannehill. What his little claim to fame is he hit the very first home run in Old Comiskey.
Wow, great.
I don't think they even had a full wall at that point. He probably had to like leg it out at that point in the outfield.
Nice. All right, Walter.
When I got back into collecting, this was like really my first major purchase, and it's a T206 Christy Mathewson.
Oh, great.
Wow.
Look at that.
Sorry.
Beautiful.
Dark cap, the glare.
Yeah. Excellent.
very nice.
All right, guys. Let's try to do this a little bit rapid fire. A card that features a catcher, Mike.
All right, I'm just going to show you a catcher. Since we were doing Black Sox here, I'm going to Ray Shaw.
Nice. Beautiful. Drew.
All right, I chose the stand-up.
Yeah.
Love this pose. Love that huge catcher's mitt and hat backwards. Just the colors, everything on this card. So that's what I got for that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Mitchell.
That's the biggest catcher's mitt I've ever seen.
I picked the 52 Bowman Bruce Edwards.
Nice. With the ball in the glove. Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really pretty image.
And Walter.
Got the 57 Campanella, not catching in the post.
Not catching. Yeah, I like it. Great. All right. Mike, back to you. Show a card that features a player with a lot of tobacco or chewing gum.
Okay, well, you got it. Even I have to go with a card on this, and you have to go with Nelly Fox. I mean,
And it's
is there
nice
another
and
guy
big.
who ever chewed like that?
EMS.
That's pretty epic there. Drew.
So I'm not going to take too much time, but quick story. But going back to the 1978 set, I picked the George Brett, and the George Brett, you can see in his cheek,
Yeah.
tobacco on it or whatever, and he's obviously got some tobacco. But as a kid, I didn't know what that was, and my dad was staunch anti-tobacco, everything. So I remember him telling me, "Oh, that's just bubble gum," and I thought it was cool because this guy chewed bubble gum, and I chewed bubble gum, and I remember older in the 80s arguing with people that George Brett would never have tobacco. It was always bubble gum because my dad said it was gum, and of course later found out that my dad had lied to me. So I haven't talked to him.
Amazing. Wow. The family drama in an innocent George Brett card.
All around the 1978 set. So.
All right, Mitchell.
Going with the 1959 AL MVP, Nelly Fox.
Oh, and he's like displaying it too.
Yeah, he's trying not to show it so much, right? With his mouth closed and stuff, but it's in there. Pretty much all his cards from like 59 onward have tobacco in them, pretty much.
Yes. Yes. Walter. what do you got?
I couldn't find one. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, now you've got a new mission now. Every PC needs one. All right, Mike, a card that's in terrible shape.
Well, this was a repeat question, and I had trouble with this last time, but I've got a 55 Don Zimmer, which actually looks pretty nice on the front, but on the back, it looks like someone had pasted it in a book.
Yes. Yeah. That counts. I appreciate that you don't have cards in terrible shape. Drew.
Quite the opposite for me. Mine was narrowing it down to which one, because but I chose the 1956, my copy of Willie Mays. And when I was putting this set together, I got this as a filler card for very little because I thought someday I'll just replace it, upgrade it. Unfortunately, prices skyrocketed. I can't afford one now. And this is the worst placement of a pinhole because if you see closely, it is actually right there next to his lip. And I don't know why someone would pin it there unless it was a dartboard. But this is definitely a card that I wish I had upgraded way back when and never did. And so now this is the version that I have. So,
wow! Shout out to Mookie. I didn't see the pinhole until you pointed it out. Now it's
no, it's there. So,
Mitchell.
I'm sticking with 56 tops too, and here's my Jackie Robinson. I bought it on a budget buy back in the year, a few years ago. I was like, I need to upgrade this at some point. And then the house, he's skyrocketed too, so I haven't done it yet. There are absolutely no corners left on this. They're completely rounded. And his face has been scratched up so bad. It looked like he got into a bar fight.
Looks like someone took some sandpaper and like rounded out the edges.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and Walter.
This was my very first Mantle card. It's got multiple creases. You can't quite see them through here. It's fuzzy corners, but it was my first Mantle, and I thought I hit the lottery. So
Right. Beautiful, no matter what.
Exactly.
Let's go in the opposite direction, Mike. A card that's vintage but in scary good shape.
I'll be another card. Let's show this anyway. Come on. This is Clark Griffith, but the signature, most signatures from those days, they're nice, but they're a lot lighter. But this is just cold black fountain pen, and except on documents, you don't usually find them like this. I was very fortunate to find this one. Bring it down here a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like snow white paper too.
Yeah, it really is.
Beautiful. All right, Drew.
All right. I don't know if he still is, but I really, really hope that Dylan is still in here because anytime I can show this card and rub it in his face, I will. But anybody who was around me up in Cleveland knows exactly the card I'm going to show. And that's the card I picked up in Cleveland.
Yeah.
With my 1948-49 Leaf Ted Williams. which again, this falls into so many categories of the scary good shape and the beautiful color and YouTubers and all this other stuff. But I picked this category for it. And for those of you who are wondering, it's graded a 1. And I'm not
Yeah.
telling you why it's a 1, but I own it. I can't believe I own it. I love it, and it almost doesn't belong in my collection, but just so happy to have that one. Sammy, thank you.
That's sweet.
Hobby Hero. So
Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible, insane number 1 PSA 1. Mitchell.
One I just picked up on Friday. The 1935 Diamond Stars Roger Hornsby in a 7.
Oh,
7
yeah.
OC, but I got it at a steal. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Love
you
that
didn't
set.
get that if you needed it for tonight, did you?
No,
Okay,
I need it for my set.
Okay, I didn't want you to be like, I don't want to disappoint Alex, so I got to pick this up.
Yeah. You guys go above and beyond. Walter, how about you?
I don't have a ton of high grade, but my main focus since I returned to collecting was Christy Mathewson. So I have his T205.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
So
That's beautiful.
thank you.
Great item.
That is scary good.
Scary good. All right. Now for one of the all-time classics. Shout out to Don, who may or may not be in here, but if he catches this later, show a card with a player that's kneeling. Mike, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of. I couldn't find a lot that were kneeling, but so I went with the obvious choice for me is 71 Reggie.
Jackson, yes. Very nice.
That's a cool card.
It's a great card.
Yeah, Walter, if you're not following Sammy Thunder, you should look him up. Great Mathewson collector.
follow him.
Drew. Okay, good. Drew, go ahead.
So one of my philosophies in life is anytime you can suck up to people you admire is a good time. So I took a card that's going to suck up to 2 of my hobby heroes, which is Scott, Reindeer Studios, and of course you, Alex. But I picked
Oh, there
the
you
Larry
go.
Doby from the 1953 Bowman, and seriously, it's just a beautiful card and a beautiful image of seriously an underrated and unfortunately forgotten by the masses player, and what he did, his impact in the game, his impact for his team, and just for so much of society and everything else. It's just a beautiful card. So that to me, this was an obvious choice for what I wanted for this one.
That's a great card. I'm going to write that down, Drew, as an idea for a future session, just to have like a Larry Doby session, because I feel like we talk about that a lot, but we don't actually spend a lot of time talking about Larry, and we should. Mitchell, how about you?
People my age, this is the kneeling card that you collected as a kid. The 89 Bowman.
Yes.
Jr. Yep. Such an iconic
Absolutely.
little image from the junk wax era.
I remember when my best friend as a kid growing up pulled that card, and it was like we couldn't stop talking about that for a week. It was life changing. Walter.
I have the Mantle and Berra kneeling on the dugout.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice.
Good choice.
Great one.
Yeah, that's one I'm after too. Great one.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, show a card, or at this point, whatever you want. Show a card with a player that's leaping.
Well, since you said it was okay to not show a card, I'm going to show a card. How's that for reverse psychology?
Oh man, and it's Whitey Lockman. Cool.
Whitey Lockman.
And it's autographed. Nice.
It is autographed.
That's great. All right, the Drew.
So I picked a card from the 1956 top set, and to me, this is one of the greatest names in baseball, and this is Pete Rose before Pete Rose was a player. But I picked the Rocky Bridges, and
Wow.
that just says Pete Rose all over it. The way he's diving into the base, and I don't know. I mean, I just love this card. It's just a comment in the set or whatever, but I remember when I first saw this, when I was putting the set together, and I thought, I absolutely love this card. So anytime I can show it off, I do. So I thought this was a great one for this.
Yeah, Drew, when did you do that? You did a video, to me it feels like a couple months ago, about the backgrounds of that set in particular.
Yeah, it was last spring or so, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have no sense of time. Yeah, but
Oh.
that set has so many fun like gems hidden in the photographs.
Yeah.
Okay, Mitchell.
Next player I'm going to show has a ton of cards of him leaping. But this one I like in particular just because of the other player in the image. The 2009 Topps Gold Derek Jeter.
Oh, wow.
Look at that leg kick over his head. The guy's almost standing halfway up and he's still going over his head. So he's turning double play there.
Great.
I think it's cool. Jeter's got so many cool cards, I think.
Absolutely. Walter.
I was going through vintage cards earlier, so I came across the 56 Topps Jerry Coleman. He's doing a little.
There he goes. Yeah.
leap.
Great. Speaking of 56 Topps.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're getting into the special zone of the questions, guys. Mike, show a card with a player who looks pissed.
Okay. I would say he looks pissed. He's maybe more a little stern than pissed, but it's
Bob Kane.
Bob Kane, best known for, and probably here, pitching to Eddie Goodell. Well, I don't know if it's politically correct to say midget anymore, so a little person up at the plate. So that would piss me off too.
Oh my God. That's a good sell. That's a good sell, Mike. Drew, go ahead.
So, I know that we're all baseball fans in here and those watching and stuff, but I don't know what other sports you might like. But I do know that if you are familiar at all with sports, there is a general rule that you never, ever want to piss off Mike Tyson. But for whatever reason, the photographer in this decided to piss off Mike Tyson, and he is not at all. And I don't know what happened to the photographer after this, but it's just a general rule you don't want to mess with it. Unfortunately, he crossed the line there. So,
Wow.
that's the one I got.
You got me there, man. That was really, really good. Mitchell.
So next one I'm going to pick is a player that you probably better known his brother because he's in the Hall of Fame. But his brother, Wes, actually was a pretty good pitcher in his time, too. And it's the 1936 Wes Farrell from the Diamond Star set.
Mhm.
I feel like he's going to kill me every time I look at this card. Those are eyes of death. Like I wronged him for life.
The police lineups there, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Walter, what do you have?
This guy looks like he's going to kill someone. Don.
Oh man, if Scott
There's a
watches
lot
this
going on
later,
there.
If Scott's still here, he'll love that.
yeah,
Great.
all the love in the world for Don Mossy. Let's see. Let's go in the opposite direction here, Mike. Show a card with a player who looks happy to be playing the game of baseball.
Okay, let's go with Ron Santo. He always looks really happy to me in this.
Yeah, he does. Although he might just be happy with like some girls in the stands or something.
It could be.
Yeah.
That was more Harry Carey.
Drew, go ahead.
So one of my inspirations here on YouTube is you, Mike, and I felt for this one I must break the rules. So the card itself doesn't show a photograph of someone super happy, but I know he's super happy, and the reason is this is a card from a TTM that I got years ago. And when I used to do TTM, I'll show you the entire page. I would write a letter and I would ask some basic questions. And one of the questions I would always ask is what's the greatest memory of your playing days? And a lot of them would talk about a highlight or an award or something like that. But the card itself is from Roy Sievers. The autograph is. But his answer was just putting on the uniform for 18 years. And if he's happy to just play and just be there, then while he's not smiling in that photo necessarily, I know because of his answer that he wrote to me that he was absolutely happy when this picture was taken. So that's the one I chose because of his answer, which I just thought was so classic when I got that back.
Right. That's fantastic. I love the detail of that. Yes, Mitchell.
This feels like a homer pick, but this man never didn't like playing a day in the major leagues, and that was Stan Musial. I think his 62 Topps card captures it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
One of the nicest guys ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Ernie Banks there for a minute.
That would have been an easy one too. Yep, for sure.
Okay, Walter.
So I have a lot of 1956 tops. So I came across this one earlier. Is Hank Bauer, who I know
Nice.
Alex you like. So
Great shot. All right, guys. We're in the home stretch. This one, I'm very excited to see what you guys came up with. Mike, starting with you, show a card and make up a story of what was happening when the photograph was taken.
All right. Well, I got this. This is Jimmy Fox and Connie Mack.
Wow.
Yeah. For early on in my collecting, I like to find photos of, especially if they had multiple Hall of Famers in it, and then get the autographs. There's one way to kind of help with the wall space. But in this photo, I kind of envision the fatherly Connie Mack telling his son, like Jimmy Fox, "You had a great year. You led the league in home runs. Really proud of you, son. You're just like the son I never had. By the way, I just traded you to Boston."
Yeah, I can see it. That's great. By the way, incredible photo and autographs as
Thank you.
well. Drew, go ahead.
Okay, so I promise you, I'm not trying to suck up again, but one of my favorite players, I figured I've got to pick a card and one of my favorite cards of my favorite player. So I'm going to tell you the quick story first.
Yeah.
Show the card. This is not going to surprise people. But this player was known for not only his defensive excellence, but his leadership, but having fun. And you could see in a lot of his cards and photos and just different things about him that he enjoyed playing baseball and being around it. So I can picture in a typical, spring training kind of atmosphere where they're trying to get pictures and stuff for baseball cards or for whatever. They say, "Hey, why don't we do something?" He says, "Why don't we do something else? I'll tell you what. Why don't we make it look like I'm turning a double play, and instead of a player sliding in, anybody can kind of get out of the way of a slide. How about a guy comes in with a barrel roll? Because they used to do that and try to really take out the legs. So as a guy is barrel rolling in, not just laying there for a pose, barrel rolling. I'm just saying, and then he jumps over for this amazing leap. And of course, I picked the 1953, and I picked one of my favorite copies. I have multiple copies of this, and but there's a very specific, and I'm not saying what the story is, but I think somebody in here knows why this specific copy is super, super special to me. So I love this card. I love the story, and I hate that people say that it's a posed photo when every single card back then was posed, because this
Right.
one, Above and Beyond, is a beautiful card. And for that person who knows the story, I just wanted to show that here tonight. So
Yeah, they're all posed. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to have posed cards. Great
a
story.
barrel roll. I'm just saying. People say he laid there. That just makes me upset.
It was a lot more
Using
violent.
face as a pillow. Come on.
That's fair.
All right, Mitchell, go ahead.
So for this next one, so the players met years after they were done playing, like in an alumni event, and they're like, look at each other and goes like, remember that one time we all took acid before we took our photographs for our baseball cards?
Yeah,
It's the weirdest one. I don't know what he's looking at.
Al is definitely on another planet there. That's nice. All right, Walter, go ahead.
I don't know how great it's going to be. So I have the Gus Zernial card with all the balls on it.
Yes.
So I was just wondering,
That's
what
cool.
was that pitch story like when Topps was saying this is what the card's going to look like, and we're going to glue all these balls. I know they didn't glue them to the bat, but he was probably went home from work, told his wife what the card was going to look like, and she probably looked at him like he had like 6 heads, but when it comes out.
It is one of the most absurd cards, of all time, right? I mean,
I love
not
the card.
ridiculous.
Do you know why he did that, by the way? He requested that. I don't know if you know. He requested because he had 6 children, and he put 1 baseball for each child. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's why he had 6 baseballs attached to his bat. So when he went home, maybe his wife thought, "You're still crazy, but at least you remember the kid." So, but that's legitimately why he did it. So.
Or he went home and she said, "Oh, I'm pregnant. You need another ball."
Yeah, you need another one.
Wow. Amazing. All right, Mike, back to you. Show a card that you think is one of your most beautiful baseball cards.
Well, I happen to think it is. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I just love the colors on this.
Mm.
Carl Scheib, but the blue sky with the white clouds just
Yes.
scattered out there, and the green, and then the infield dirt, and the white and the blue of his uniform, and I don't know. Maybe as I'm getting older, I really am attracted to colorful cards, and the blue autograph going across is really dark blue.
Yeah, I was gonna say the autograph too is like really well placed.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of beautiful cards with a lot of color, but this just happens to be one of my favorites.
Nice choice. What's up, Mark? What's up, Mike? Baseball collector. All right, Drew, go ahead.
So, as I have this card room, and you can't see it from where I am, but every other wall in here has cases with cards in it. And when I come up here, I wish I could get up here more often, but when I do come up here, there is specific cards, a few of them, that I will always look at. I will just stop and look to not make sure it's still there, although kind of, but I just think, man, I can't believe I own it. I love the story behind it, or that's just a beautiful card. And while I've already shown the Ted Williams off, this is absolutely one of my favorite cards that I own. It's one of my favorite cards that ever existed. And I absolutely think this is one of the most beautiful baseball cards in my collection. And for the same reasons Mike just mentioned, the colors on it, the blue and the red and the white, just they all pop. And I absolutely am just floored with this baseball card. I'm glad that they created it. I'm glad I get to own one. And I'm glad I get to own a copy that looks like that. So that's what I choose.
Beautiful copy. Real quick, shout out to Don. Don, you missed the kneeling cards, but it's all good. Good luck with your homework. Mitchell, go ahead.
I'm gonna pick a more recent endeavor that I've been on. It's really gotten me into a rabbit hole, and this is actually a modern card. But I really enjoy the Top Sapphire collection, and I've been collecting Albert Pujols cards, and I just think this is a beautiful card as far as like modern cards go. I don't think it gets much better than this image, personally.
Very nice. Actually,
No, it's not vintage, but
it's all good. Recently, I forget where I saw it, but it was like a really quick video of David Ortiz with his son in a batting cage with Pujols, and Pujols was like basically schooling David Ortiz's son on like technique and stuff. It was pretty cool to see that like generational passing on. Cool. Let's see. Walter, go ahead.
It's a very common card, but it's the 58 Topps All-Star Mantle. I just like the way he's swinging.
Yeah. Really like those All-Star cards. The simple but really effective like pattern. Really cool. All right, guys. And I'm surprised we made it through. We got one more. And, apropos with Thanksgiving coming up, Mike, show a card that you are thankful for.
Okay, well, this is one card, but it's representative of a bigger thing. This is from Scott Reindeer Studio, and what I'm thankful for is this community, because before getting on YouTube, I had only one friend that collected cards or autographs or memorabilia, and we both kind of go in spurts. So there was long periods of time where we didn't really have a lot to talk about as far as anything new, and so finding this community and finding a bunch of people that I now consider friends, and they also share a warped sense of humor like I have, is there something to be thankful for,
Yeah.
or scared of, one of the two.
Mike, that was really nice. And I do hope that Scott watches this, because maybe that's the only time that you'll say something positive about Scott. Yeah.
Don't tell him.
Here, we cleared it up here. Don's thankful that he doesn't have that card there. So it's all good. All right, Drew, go ahead.
So along the same lines, I've got cards that I'm glad I finally got, or I saved up for, or I found that deal or whatever. but really there's a different level of being thankful for it when you have people around you to do this. And this is another card I picked up at the National, and this was a card that I really would have liked to had, which obviously I ended up getting. I spent half of a day looking for it, and I only saw 2 copies in the entire show. One was way high graded. There's no way I could afford it. The other one was out of my price range, and I thought, how am I going to get this thing? I was able to sell a bunch of stuff to get some money, but I was like, whatever. And I was talking about it actually in the parking lot before the YouTube hangout, and Sammy Thunder and Dom from Staven Sports Cards, just good friends. We hung out all week. They're like, you know what? Tomorrow morning, first thing, let's go to that dealer and see if we can work a deal. And all of us went over. A group of us, guys that I had just met that week, went over, and we didn't strong arm the deal, but we negotiated and talked. And Sammy was so instrumental in this, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate him, Dom, Jake, all these other guys that were around to be able to get this card. So when I see this card, it's not that I finally achieved and was able to purchase it. It was the fact that I did it in a group and we were able to do this together. So this is my Jimmy Fox heads up with scribbles that I was able to get. And like I said, only 2 that I saw on the entire floor. There may have been more, but I only saw the 2. This one was in the price range, and we were able to work it down to where I was able to afford it. And I just really am thankful for not the card, but the story behind the card, to be able to get it with friends that didn't know me extremely well, but still we all hung in there together, had a great time, and just so many people that I was able to meet that week and hang out with and get to know as people, and it was just an amazing time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those stories make the card so much more personal and more valuable than just the card itself. That's great. Absolutely. That's a great card. Mitchell, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to share with you a gift I got from my friend that I've had since high school. He only lives like 20 minutes away, so we've kind of always lived about 20 minutes apart from one another. So we're kind of like brothers from another mother, you can kind of say. And he collects too. So there was a period of time where I wasn't really actively collecting, but he was starting to give me things to try and like get me back into collecting a little bit. And so this was like one of the gifts he gave me at the time. It was the 1956 Topps Mini Minoso before he was in the Hall of Fame.
Very cool.
That was back
Did it
in
work?
full time shortly thereafter.
Yeah. Okay. So well done. Well done. Awesome. Okay, Walter, how about you?
So I'll end it with like on your turkey theme. So when I have the Christy Mathewson T3 turkey, right? It's authentic, slightly trimmed. But when I got back into collecting,
Awesome.
this came up in an auction, and I said I'm grabbing it. So very happy with it. And those are beautiful cards. Like the artwork is amazing. A little hard to store, but other than that, they're good.
That's a good problem to have, right? Yeah, Warren, I agree with this 100%. Fantastic comment. Jason, just for you. It's still here. Appreciate it nonetheless, Jason. Yeah, guys, we're wrapped here. I hope everybody enjoyed this round of show a card. This is the first show a card round, I think, where we actually literally got through every single question. I didn't have to erase any of them. So maybe I'm getting better at gauging how many I should ask you guys to do. You guys did a great job. Mike, Mitchell, Drew, and Walter, thanks so much for joining tonight.
It was fun. You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a great, safe, and happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back next Sunday. Make sure you check out For Collectors at 9:00, but we're done here. So safe travels. Enjoy Thursday, guys. And we'll see you on Sunday. Have a great night. Take care, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.